you don't have to separate between football and your identity, and that they, they do go together.
It shouldn't even be an issue.
Seeing the EFL get behind this is huge.
To have you here today. Tell me about yourself. How long you been Millwall fans, playing?
Sort of all my life, really. It's like a family thing. Didn't really have a choice. I think, like, when we were growing up, my dad said you can sport all you like, but I'll only ever take you to Millwall, which is fun, So yeah, I've been going probably about 20 years, I think, or so, since I went to my first match. And then been playing with Millwall Romans, the community team, for a couple of years now.
Cool. Yeah, similar story really. So again, come from a very Millwall heavy family background. So grew up, dad, brother, everyone huge Millwall fans, all season ticket holders. So yeah, no choice really, but a good choice I think. So yeah, also go along to as many games as I can. I've been playing since I was about 8 years old.
Well, to be fair, my story is really similar to you guys as well. To be fair, football family. It was either play football or leave the family, basically. So tell me a little bit about you and your story. You're a member of the LGBTQ plus community. Did you always know, or is it something that came to you later in life?
I think it's probably something you always know. I mean, personally, it's been more something probably in the last few years. I think especially with playing with with Romans and with Mill. It's been something I've been maybe a bit more open about, especially I'd say sort of being bisexual. It's quite easy to hide it at times as well. But having the teams and having that community, there's LGBTQ plus football teams all over the country. Having those there, I know it is a massive support for a lot of people who have maybe not felt football's for them.
Yeah.
They felt that maybe their sort of queer identity with football just doesn't match up. And also it's just, because of that, you have a lot of people who join who never had played football before, or maybe had sort of wanted to but never sort of felt they fitted in. So I think it's a big support for loads of people really that they have those clubs and those teams set up.
I think from my side, the women's football community and the LGBTQ plus community is very well represented. So from my side, it was easier because I was in teams of girls and also women who we could share stories with, and we could talk about common issues, and I had that community from a really, really young age. So it was easier and you did feel more comfortable. But I guess more so when I was younger, it was more of a bubble, as in where I'm in this bubble where I feel comfortable, but outside of this bubble I feel a little bit unsteady and uneasy. I think as time has progressed and things have improved in terms of people's acceptance, I think that bubble is slowly disappearing.
Yeah. From my perspective, it seems like the stigma is kind of going away a little bit, like say, especially in the women's game, and like I say, the more that's raised with teams like the Romans and stuff like that, hopefully that sort of spreads throughout men's football worldwide.
I think we've always had, when I've played for other LGBT football teams as well, there's always been that sort of perception of it. It's almost like not a shame that they have to exist, but it's there is still such a need for it because, like you say, there is still, I think, a lot of stigma, especially in men's football. I mean, I'd love it if it was the same as it is with women's football, where like you say, if a player is gay, no one, it just doesn't, it's just sort of not really mentioned. It's nothing of note. But I think that with having these teams set up, and especially with links to professional clubs and things like that, it does help show that you don't have to separate between football and your identity, and that they, they do go together. And hopefully that sort of helps with, kids who are growing up today looking at it and going, I don't know if football's quite for me because of X, Y, or Z. 100%. And actually we're sort of showing that it is.
I think that's the point. You shouldn't have to choose between sort of your identity and whether you want to play football or any sport for that matter. It shouldn't even be an issue for anyone really. So what was it like coming out?
Being around so many people who were also going through exactly what I was going through at the time made my life a lot easier. Especially when it comes to friends. Most of my friends, you probably yourself and you, a lot of your friends are your teammates. So again, like you share common issues and problems. But outside, again, coming back to the bubble, outside of that, you know, way harder. I've only recently been open at work, for example, and still struggle with some conversations with family members, especially like those of the older generation. I guess the concern is will it change someone's perception of you?
100%.
So will they treat you differently, or will they not be able to talk to you about different things they used to be able to talk to you about? And I think that's, from my perspective anyway, was always my main concern.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think I've really ever had sort of bad experiences, but like you say, you just don't know sometimes. With some people, it is always you maybe trying to sort of gauge, is it something I can tell this person? Is it something that we can sort of talk about? Like you say, are they going to sort of judge you a little bit differently? And I think it is just sort of a continuous journey, really.
I feel like that must be the most stressful part, is not knowing how people are going to react. And like I say, I mean, I would assume, just based off, like say, friends and family or whatever, that some people react different to how you might expect them to, even though you've known them for years. And I think that would be the hardest part necessarily, is knowing exactly how they are going to react. And it's it must be nervy, but like I said, I guess that's when you sort of find out the real people and the people who really love you, I guess, is people who just want you to be happy.
And every time you meet someone new, you have to go through that again.
Sounds tiring. And how do you feel that the Millwall Romans sort of represent the community?
It's that sort of showing people that there is a space not just for queer people in football, but also for football in the community as well. Because I think, again, lots of people don't think, especially maybe like gay or bisexual men, don't think that maybe football's for them. It's sort of the idea of it's quite laddie, all that sort of stuff. Which you're not saying it isn't, but like that doesn't mean they don't go hand in hand. And I think it's just we've been to Pride a couple of times as well, and you've got sort of you've got the people there with the badge with the shirt on, and I think that's just like something that even not too long ago I just thought that's never going to happen. So I think in terms of sort of representation in the community, it just is nice having, like I say, the Romans or any other club really that you have that support with, and having the fact that it's linked to a sort of a professional, a well-known football team is just brilliant, really.
Amazing. And the Lionesses?
Like the girls are all from different backgrounds, like everyone has their own viewpoint, and everything just feels really kind of comfortable, and for the most part, like everyone's on board and happy to have difficult conversations and things like that.
Have any of you guys ever had to deal with sort of homophobia or discrimination of any kind?
Thankfully not sort of personally, but I mean in terms of like football context and things, I think we all know, there's sort of certain chants that are quite often sometimes quite popular in the terraces, and people make comments and you sometimes it doesn't make you feel like you're welcome there, because you're like, if this is the attitude people have, if they sort of knew, about your own sexuality, like is that how they're going to react? I know a lot of people think of it as, it's just banter, we're just making a joke, but it can have a real effect on people, and it can make you feel like, football's something that we love, but actually it doesn't feel like I'm sort of welcome there at times. When people do sort of make some of those comments, or some of those chants sort of go around the terraces. I think by sort of explaining this, to fans, and they sort of putting it out and saying, look, here's a bit more information about why that isn't okay. I think it does help, and I think that hopefully we can sort of move on from it, but I know it's not going to happen overnight.
100%. I think there's been a lot more awareness has been raised in terms of even to us players about discrimination and all that sort of stuff, but obviously you see notices and boards and all that sort of stuff all around sort of the ground on match day where it's like stamp it out, or just trying to get rid of all of that sort of abuse and stuff that they're probably not even thinking about, that they could be standing next to someone who's homosexual or whatever, and how it affects them. I guess the more awareness that's raised, and over hopefully a short period of time, that's something we can just get out of the game altogether. So Puma have developed this new ball that's going to be used by all EFL clubs throughout February. It's got the rainbow colours on it, which represents the LGBTQ community. And it's just about raising awareness throughout all football fans, throughout all football family, and throughout all communities really, that this is something that we really sort of need to stamp out of football. And although it's just a football and it's just a symbol, it's something that gets people talking and hopefully talking about the right things.
Seeing the EFL get behind this is huge, and seeing all the championship teams also get behind it is massive as well. So it's just great to see that all of these clubs and the EFL are getting behind this, and hopefully, like you say, it can make a change and people can start having the right conversations.
100%.
Seeing that sort of visual representation, I think it definitely helps, I think, making people from the community feel like football is more welcome for them and feel like actually this is something for me and this is something I can be a part of.